we have such, like, for my team, I have busy mamas that are putting their kids down to sleep, and it's craziness at this time. Okay, so I was a teacher for 10 years, and I freaking loved it until I didn't. Because what happened is I had my daughter Madeline, and I wanted to be that stay-at-home mom, and I did that until I loved it until I didn't. And then after I had Jack is when I really started to question my purpose in life, because I had a complete mental breakdown. Like, what the hell is going on with me? This isn't like me. I'm sure a lot of you moms can relate. I had postpartum depression. I had a really bad anxiety. It's very hard to even describe now because I don't want to like go back to that moment. But when I was in it, it was crazy town. And I don't want to speak about it lightly, and I don't want to be like a victim to it. But I really feel for people that have issues with depression and mental health, because it is some scary shit. My husband would not know who he was going to be coming home to at night, because that's how it is. I really didn't know what was going on. I had suicidal thoughts, irrational fears. I thought people were going to come and kidnap my kids. It just took over. So for about 3 months, that was my life. And I was in a dark hole, and I felt really alone. I felt lost. I felt like, who am I? And which gave me more anxiety, because I'm like, this isn't me. I was a teacher for 10 years. I loved it. I'm a mom. Like, Mike, my husband, lost his wife. My kids lost their mom, and I lost me. And I always get like emotional talking about it, because I know that a lot of you can relate from it. So what happened was I had to go to the doctor. I needed to seek medical attention because I was sick. So I was put on medicine right away. I didn't care. I didn't care what they needed to do. I just wanted to feel good. And so after about a month, so I was like taking the Xanax and then taking the regular anti-anxiety meds, and I was drinking the wine, and it finally clicked. And I was like, yeah, okay, this is good. I'm back. And I really was back. And Mike was like, woohoo, got my wife back, my kids got the mom back, and we are good to go, until the side effects of the meds kicked in. If you know what I'm talking about, give me a hey ho. Like, it's for real. I gained like 15, 20 pounds just from, and I don't want to say it's a direct side effect, but the indirect side effect is that you feel very carefree. You don't care about anything, because you're like, thank God I feel good in my heart, in my life. And you want to eat the food. You don't want to exercise. You pretty much don't really take care of yourself physically, because right up here is overcompensating for that feeling. So I've always been on the leaner side. I've never really had issues with weight. Yes, I gained weight with my children, and I lost it and I gained it. I've had 2 kids within 2.5 years, so it was always yo-yoing. But when I would weigh myself and I saw a number that freaked me out, I was like, whoa, okay, no, like this, putting my jeans on was a struggle. So then I was like, no, this is depressing. So after doing a lot of research, I figured out it was from my medicine. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot not take my medicine. Like, I need it. I need it to survive. I need it to be good, a good mom. And that's when I was like, I need to do something. So what I really do have is a form of OCD, but it's not like the habitual behaviors, like we have to wash your hands all the time. It's not like those rituals. It's more of like you start to obsess about certain things in your head that you just cannot get rid of. Like when I was in my deep dark hole, I would obsess about like my Jack going to kindergarten. He was literally 6 months old, just situations like that. So I decided that I need to do something about it. And like all of you, scrolling social, and you're like, ooh, you see somebody's transformation and you're like, maybe I can do that. So my coach at the time, her and I, chatted, and she told me all about this challenge group. And I thought, all right, I'm going to do this. I am a 21-day fixed generation coach, client, whatever you want to call it. So she told me all about this 21-day fixed challenge. I had no idea what Beachbody was, except it was funny because after I did 21-day fix, I remembered my husband and I doing insanity in our basement using burned DVDs from a friend that had really good results. And I kind of connected the two after like halfway through 21-day fix. I'm like, oh, this is the company that did insanity. Sorry, I totally digress. So anyways, got into her challenge group. You guys, as you all know, you get killer results when you really go all in. I lost all the weight. I got in the best shape of my life. I blew my mind away. I was like, what is going on here? Like I had, biceps and abs. I've had 2 C-sections. I really thought my abs had retired after, having 2 C-sections. But the thing about the 21-day fix and the challenge pack is for a long time, I sat there and I didn't know if we could afford it. I didn't know if it would work. The questions that you've always asked yourself. We were living on one income and I thought, you know what, I need to try this. And it clicked. I'm like, I'm going to do this thing. So needless to say, I'm so glad I did. But I was skeptical. I did 2 rounds. I lost all the weight, got in the best shape of my life. But my real transformation happened up here. Because remember when I said that my mental health was overcompensating for my physical? Well, now I had a balance, and I found that balance. And for me, I was good. I was able to manage my anxiety. I was able to stay on meds, and my goal is to not increase my dose. I want to be able to manage that balance going on. And I am an open book about it. So if you are one that needs some compassionate chit chat, I'm your girl. Like I will talk to you. I will help you. I feel like so many women feel so ashamed that this is going on that we need to speak up about it. So anyways, I did not start the business until 1 year later. I know, I'm like, why did I wait so long? I followed my coach for 1 year. And I'm going to talk, that's kind of like the little bit of my subject today is I'm going to bring you guys tonight as to why it took me 1 year. But we were literally living paycheck to paycheck. As I said, I was a teacher. I didn't really want to go back to school or back to teaching. I just wasn't there. My heart wasn't in it anymore, but I knew something else was missing. I needed purpose. I felt the need to serve. I just felt like a waste of space on my couch watching Real Housewives sipping wine. Like, I'm like, no. Like I need to be doing something with my life. And my kids needed more of an energetic mom and a mom that was had something for her, a healthy outlet for her. So I decided after 1 year of watching my coach, I looked at my husband, I'm like, I'd be good at this. I think I'm going to do this. And he, of course, he was like my number 1 skeptic. He was like, okay, go for it. Because he, of course, was always, everything I would buy, every decision I would make, he supported me no matter what, even though it was like completely absurd and crazy. He was like, I'm all for it, honey. I'll do whatever you want. So when I told him I was going to start this business, he said, I'll give you 6 months. And I was like, oh my God, he's only going to give me 6 months. If you think about it, like, can any business be successful after 6 months? Hell to the no. But I proved him wrong. And anyways, I am obviously here today. I've been doing the business. I've been running my business. It'll be 5 years in January. And I am just completely honored to be here with you ladies today. And any questions if you have, just go in the chat box or unmute yourself and talk to me. I love having these connections with women and having this eyeball to eyeball time. It's great. So if you need anything, just put it in the chat. Okay, Jatana, I need to share my screen. I can do that, right? Because for mine, I have to like request be the host or, okay, got it.
Really? Okay, good.
Mm-hmm. So like I said, you guys, I was a former teacher. Yeah, I'm getting all teachery on you. I mean, more like with the whole presentation stuff. Okay. Can you see my screen? All right, let me see where we at. Okay. If I go in presentation mode with Canva, will you be able to see my face? Because sometimes I feel like I would be like the hidden narrator. Let's try it.
Go ahead and try it. See, I'll let you know.
Okay, well now it's not letting me present. What is going on?
You're like me trying to present. I'm the same.
Oh, I am like, Mike was.
Oh, maybe
you know what? Yeah, I wanted to also let you guys know that my internet is not the best. So if at times I like freeze, just be patient because it'll whip back up. So, okay. I'm going to be talking to you guys about something that might be pretty basic to you and something you already know. But I am all about reminders, refreshers, because we all need them, especially when we feel a little bit stuck in our business. And I also share this with my new coaches as part of our onboarding. So if you are like wanting this, just let me know and I'll send it your way. But we are going to be talking about the law of energy. We're going to leave this call as energy dealers, okay? So what I want to know, I'm going to move my little box here. Okay, so this thing is driving me nuts. Okay. Do you want to know what makes someone's business grow faster than anything else? First of all, what do you think? Put in the chat box, what do you think it is that makes someone's business boom, like blow it out of the water, is contagious? Just what do you think it is? Like just drop it. And no, it's not wine, and no, it's not Energize, even though I might have taken some Energize before this call. Any idea? Now I gotta open the chat box. Energy and personality. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, consistency. Vulnerability. Absolutely. These are good. A story that you can relate to. And back to Adrian, I didn't see your question about going off meds. I actually did go off meds for 2 years, and it was the worst 2 years of my life. Like my anxiety came back with a vengeance, and Mike, my husband, literally had to do an intervention because he was like, we're not going back there. So I committed to going back, and now, gosh, it's been 9 years. So yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going back down that road. Okay, so the answer is energy, you guys. Why? Because we are literally addicted to the feeling of something. I mean, we have Energize every morning, and if you think about it, nothing in the world feels better than energy. And you all feel it on your team with Epic Empire. I mean, Jatana is literally a ball of freaking energy. So you know what I'm talking about. And you're probably wondering, well, how can we bring this energy into our business? Well, we can all agree. Now, I'm just gonna, before I preface and bring the energy to you, that there's a 10% conversion rate in our business, right? So for every 10 people we invite to our challenge groups, to the business, 1 will sign up. Over time, that is. Like, it's not an everyday thing where you invite 10 and 1's gonna sign up. And that client or coach may take as long as a couple months to join, right? So let's imagine 2 different people. They're each sending 10 invites about joining their challenge group or their business opportunity. And let's call them Jessica and Jane. So let's meet Jessica and Jane. So Jessica, oh my God, this light, I have to put these on, sorry guys. All right, so Jessica, she's full of energy. She's on social media every day, showing her life, her journey, her products. She's adding value, creating tutorials, and she loves this so much she can't shut up about them in a very genuine, I just effing love what I do kind of way, right? The other one, we'll call her Jane. She's confused. She loves the programs and community, but feels awkward talking about them on social media. She doesn't want to come off salesy, so she rarely mentions anything at all in what she's doing. But she still is diligent, and she follows her Success Club tracker and starts up new conversations with at least 20 people a day and asks 10 of them to try her products. So I'm sure you can probably relate to either one of these women. So now imagine the different kind of responses that these two people may get. So Jessica is full of life that people can help but watch, right? When she goes to send someone a message, she's able to say something like, "Hey girl, how are you? I know this is super random, but you're always liking my posts, and I was wondering if you'd ever thought about what I do. I'd love to give you some details, but if it's not for you, no worries at all. I just wanted to offer." I think we all are familiar with that, right? But let's talk statistics. 6 people are going to ignore that message altogether. 2 out of the 4 people who read it will say something like, thanks, but no thanks. The other 2 will show interest, and 1 of them, after many, many back and forth exchanges with third-party tools, will sign up. But here's the thing. Jessica is so present on social media. She's got so much energy that even the 9 people who either ignored her message or said no start to notice her even more. It's like, okay, so it's like that, what they say, when you buy a Chevy Tahoe and then you start to notice that everyone has a Chevy Tahoe, right? So they're now more like consciously aware of what's going on. They start to notice how much fun Jessica's having doing this. They start to see how confident she's become and remember that this is not the same person they remember from a year ago. She has purpose. And this is like exactly how, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with Josh Coates, but I am getting this from his book, F Leadership. Are you guys familiar? Yeah. So when I read this book, I was like, oh my God, this is literally me, and this is literally my team. So not Jessica, I'm just saying when I read this, it was like an angel from heaven came down and was like, you need to share this. So if you know this, then you're just gonna get a repeat. Okay, so Jessica has this awesome purpose. So she continues to share the perks of her business, showing up on social, her earned trips, all the rewards, and people are watching her. It's like a TV show, if you think about it. I mean, that's what social media is, right? One woman, Miranda, even shows her husband some of the pictures, hoping he gives some sort of positive response. She's really curious about what Jessica is doing, but doesn't want to bring up another get-rich-quick scheme to her husband. They still have $2,000 worth of products in the garage from the last 3 opportunities she brought into. And to her surprise, her husband said, "Hey, I have a buddy at work. His wife is on that trip. She's in that company. I told him I was going to mention it to you. It seemed like something you might be into." So Miranda is so excited she can hardly stand it. Her husband has bought in just like that. She messages Jessica immediately. "Hey, Jessica, sorry to bother you. You're on your trip, but I was talking to my husband, and we both think this would be a great opportunity. We haven't been able to afford a vacation in 5 years. I guess even if I never make any money and just get an annual vacation out of it, it would be worth it. How do I sign up?" And this is what really pulled me into the business, because I was watching my coach go on all of these trips, and being a stay-at-home mom, thinking about actually going on a trip, even paying for it was like a dream come true. But earning that trip is really what attracted me and motivated me to start this business. So, yeah. So there we go. Jessica has now signed up 2 people from the 10 that she invited. And as the rest continue to watch, 1 or 2 more sign up over the next 6 months. And this may not seem like a big deal, but because Jessica has consistently invited 10 people a day to join her, and the energy is delivering her 2 to 3 new recruits for every 10 she invites, her team is like growing so fast. And she starts even closing even more people because of the growing confidence and belief that she is showing in her posts, messages, and life. But you know what, guys? Let's go back to Jane. Remember Jane? We haven't seen her face on social media in like, I don't know, several weeks, a month. We know everything about her kids, but nothing about her. She can start out with the same message, or she can't start out with that same message that Jessica sends because she's not sharing anything at all. She can't say, have you been curious about what I do? Because no one knows what she does. So she has to talk about the only thing she seems to know talk about, and that's her kids. So she messages 20 people a day to start up conversations about the kids, the family, the whatever. But it takes 5 or 6 messages just to get to that awkward place where she finally pulls the trigger, and that's probably why she feels salesy. I know this is super random, but I've been working this business from home that I really enjoy. Would you want to hear more about making money on this side? Okay. The problem here is that even if Jane sends this to 10 people a day, just like Jessica did, it took her 5 or 6 back and forth messages just to get to that point. So basically, Jane is working 10 times harder than Jessica. But because no one has seen Jane sharing her journey, they don't really have very little about, they don't know very little about her. And they have no idea what she's talking about. Not surprising, her crazy closing rate, whatever you want to call it, looks a lot different. Even if she gets the same initial response, 6 people ignoring, 2 people interested, and 1 signing up, the long-term results look completely different. The 9 who didn't sign up may still show some curiosity, but Jane's posts aren't in any way showing them what they're missing out on. There's no FOMO at all whatsoever. They continue to see pics of Jane's kids and life and never once think, she's doing some pretty awesome things in her life. I'm gonna reach back out and see what she's up to. So there's that one initial coach, and that's it. And on top of that, because Jane doesn't have the same person in excitement, she questions herself whether she can help that one person who's going to sign up. So she doesn't properly follow up. She doesn't properly set expectations for how big of an opportunity this really is. So obviously, Jane is missing a lot of confidence. She's missing that energy. She's missing the belief, that intensity that she needs to bring in this business. And that's the missing link. So Rebecca, who is missing from this picture, why does it do that? I was doing a webinar for a team for the coaching opportunity, and a couple pictures didn't show up. Anyways, I'm just gonna keep going. So Rebecca, who has just signed up with Jane, has a major bill come up. Her husband's car breaks down and they'll have to clean out their savings to get it fixed. So obviously this would be a perfect time to have a side hustle that could help pay the bills. But because Jane, she never painted that picture of this opportunity as something that can be life-changing. Rebecca doesn't even realize the money-making opportunity that's at hand. She returns her pack to get her money back and tells Jane that now isn't a good time. The one person Jane had is lost. And you guys, that is really like, we need to become energy dealers. That is the power of energy. When it's on your side, you do. When you have that belief, when you have that intensity, it becomes so contagious. You want to transfer that energy to everybody else because you are so passionate about it. And you end up becoming a fire-breathing dragon that the world stands no chance against. And when it's not on your side, you're kind of sitting around scratching your head. You're like, what's wrong? Maybe I'm not doing this right. And you get burnt out. And because everyone's saying things like, if you want bigger results, you just have to do more work. I mean, how many times have you heard that, right? And you're like, I know all this. And you think maybe I'm the exception to the rule. You're not. You're not the exception to the rule. You just haven't worked hard enough on the 2 things that create contagious energy, and that is that belief and that intensity. And you're probably like thinking, oh yeah, okay, I know this already. I know that I need to bring energy. I already bring energy. You should see my social media. I'm bringing the energy. People come to me for inspiration and energy. But how does the law of energy work when leading your team? Because you also have a team of people that came to you for your energy. and they want to build a business alongside you. So you want to think about how this works with your leadership of your team. So before I move on, I want you guys in the chat box to kind of tell me, do you relate to Jessica? Do you relate to Jane? Do you feel like you have flip-flopped every time? I mean, you need to know that there are days when you are going to be like, oh my God, I have no energy. And if that happens, you really have to reevaluate how you preserve it. You really need to create boundaries when it comes to your business. Set boundaries. Build, make some business hours for yourself. And if you're the type of mom that says yes to every PTA meeting or says yes to every play date, you really should learn to say no and create those boundaries, because that is going to weigh you down and exhaust you. I mean, you're just gonna be so tired. And if you show up and you still don't have energy and you're like, oh God, get me energized again, think about where you're putting your energy in. Are you scrolling social media? How toxic right now is social media? I want to scream. I do not scroll. It's funny. I actually never scroll. I only scroll for my coaches and give them support. I never watch the news because that's what kind of triggered my anxiety years ago. I'd watch the Today Show and I would see all these kids get kidnapped, and I don't want to go there, but I would take it 10 times worse. And I learned to stop watching the news because it just brought such negative, toxic energy into my life. So Mike is my newscaster. He'll tell me, did you see? And I'm like, no. I'm like, I've been married to you almost 14 years. You know that I did not see. No. So he fills me in on things that I need to know. So what I'm talking to you about is you just need to learn to preserve your energy, because you are exerting it on social media, in your business, and you're also exerting it in your team. So so did you guys write in the chat? So this is where I get confused with, here we go. Does anyone? Yes. Okay, good. Yay, Jane, but learning. Good. I love it. Learning, growing, and leaning into your team is so important, because I can't imagine doing this business all by myself. And Jatana, when you said that you did that last night, you pretty much started this on your own. Wow. Now I know why you're so successful. Okay, moving on. So Jessica is so full of belief and she's showing up with intensity, but and she's getting recognized left and right. But she has literally a serious problem, you guys. She's dynamite at recruiting people to join her team, but she can't seem to motivate anyone else to join in her enthusiasm. She gets on call after call with her team and is constantly frustrated by the lack of commitment from others. She now has 100 team members, 100 coaches, but only about 15 of them show up for the weekly calls. The ones on the West Coast say the call's too early. The ones on the East Coast says it's too late. She moves to 2 calls a week so she can cater to both. One is a little earlier, one's a little later, doesn't seem to matter. The same people show up and the rest make excuses. So I'm sure you all are like, yep. Sally, she's a stay-at-home mom, so she's trying to get the kids fed. Susan works a full-time job. So there's that picture again. So she's picking up kids from daycare, and Mary, well, she's got 1 million dogs, so she needs to pet them. And Julia just got engaged. So guess what? For the next 27 years, she's going to be planning her big event. And how can she get on a team call when she's trying to figure out a good hashtag to use for their wedding? So as you see, you are you burn the candlestick at both ends. So the lack of team commitment begins to weigh on Jessica. She starts to blame herself. If I were a better leader, she tells her husband, I would be able to motivate them. I know that for a fact. I've said this a million times to Mike and to my success partner. And it's true. I've been burnt out many times too. And he would say, if you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You heard that. And he says, Jessica's husband, barely looking up from the TV. And he's now listened to Jessica complain about the same thing night after night. She's pretty sure his nightly advice comes from Googling motivational quotes, which depresses her even more because her husband seems to be 10 times more resourceful than what she thinks her coaches are. So maybe he should speak on the next call, right? But where did it all begin for Jessica? She fell in love with the thing that she was sharing, her own journey. She fell in love with the thing. She was all over Instagram, sharing her journey, her products, her life. She wasn't worried about who was responding and who wasn't. She was having fun. She was having the time of her life. And that is leadership. Leadership is still sharing, just with a different focus. If the number one way to share this business or share your challenge group is to fall in love and make all the noise and say deuces to the haters, then the number one way to lead is to fall in love with your team, with your business, and make all the noise and say deuces to the haters, even if they're on your team, because I have had a lot of those. So when someone joins your team, the real work has just begun. And this is the quote that I love that Josh Coates put in this book. He said, treat your team like an extension of social media. They are a group of people who decided to follow you at a higher level. So yes, you do have a higher level of influence with them, but there is still work to be done to turn them into influencers. So this will help you get unstuck in your business, especially if you've been at the same rank for a while now. You have to bring the energy and you need to find that balance. And you need to kind of reevaluate where you're at in your life and where you're expanding your energy. So whether you relate to Jessica or Jane, you don't have to be the most skilled. You just have to be the most determined, right? The law of energy, being an energy dealer, is something that will change your life if you can get a hold of it. Energy is contagious. It can spread to others. It's never limited, just like you. It's like that fire that once lit. It can spread through an entire forest and consume everything in its path. Energy will be your best friend, your worst enemy, but the choice is yours. It's one of the few things of which you always are in control. And this also takes me back to where you started. Like, when you think about your coach, your sponsor, who actually attracted you to this business, did she bring the energy? I'm sure she did. Did she attract you the right way? I'm sure she did. So there's so much belief and evidence in that. And you have to find that within yourself. But also it's time to step into that energy source and your team to also find that. So I think this is the last slide. My God. Oh my God. Okay. Yay. So
go ahead. Sorry.
No.
I was just like, the last statement was so powerful. I mean, it was all very powerful, but that one really stuck with me because you had said, the person that may have signed you up or that you were attracted to brought it. And I see so many coaches that sign up and they want to have or be that same thing that their coach inspired them to get started. But then they really struggle with finding their own energy. They're inspired by their team. They're inspired by the challenge group they were a part of. They're inspired by even their own health and fitness journey, but it's finding their own voice and energy to put out there on social media. That's really difficult for a lot of coaches.
You have to find yourself, and you need to find who you are. You can't think you're like what they say, the imposter syndrome. You have to be authentically you. It took me a long time to get there. It really did. Because I fell into the whole, what's this coach doing? What's that coach doing? And it could be a trap. And then you go into the comparison game of, oh my God, she's so successful. I'm never going to get there. And you guys all know that those are awful lies that you've been telling yourself. And I'm sure you've heard that over and over again from people because it's true. You are always going to be on the defense. Your mind is programmed to protect you your whole life. So of course it's comfortable enough to say, oh, this isn't for me, or I'm going to quit, because you're going to go back to that comfort zone. But that means you're going to go back. You're not moving forward. You're not stepping out of it, and you're not learning. And that's when really life begins. And you all know this, but you have to find your own way. After I found my own way, so I've been in this business for 4.5 years. For about a year or two, I was doing the whole, I was a follower. I was a follower. I was not a leader. But after digging into some deep, deep PD and in actually following a lot of successful coaches inspired me to try different things. So, I mean, I feel like it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You have to be in the right mindset to follow successful coaches, to know that like, that you can do that too. So, but you have to bring the energy. You need to find who your voice is, like Jatana is. Find your voice, find that purpose, and find your person. And talk to you every day. Like I did a hot mess story like right before I got on this call. I was giving my kids mac and cheese on paper plates. I have a huge zit on my forehead. I mean, I picked it to death the other night because my husband was like, that thing's huge. And it is like a welt. And I don't care anymore. But it took me a really long time to accept that. And once I did is when my business started to boom. I went from 2-star to 8-star in like, 6 months. So, and if you're like, oh, I just don't know, you have to work on you first. Get off social media, set those boundaries, protect your heart. That's what's important. And your mind. Gosh.
Somebody asked, what PD do you recommend?
Oh my God, that's such a loaded question. So for me, okay, I love, like, obviously, Rachel Hollis is great. I also read, I just finished F Leadership. I'm moving on to the 10X rule, or is it the 10X law, the 10X whatever effect? What is it, Tana? I don't even know. 10X rule?
10X rule.
Yeah. Let's see. The compound effect. That one was probably one of the, okay, so I read You Are a Badass. That was around the time that I started questioning this business because my family was judging me. Like, why are you doing this? As I'm telling them that I literally was talked off the ledge from this company, this business helped me. They're like, but why? Why are you doing this? I'm like, duh, because I want to help other moms. They didn't get that and they never supported me. So that book completely gave me that shield to protect myself and know that I didn't need them. Compound effect was more of like sticking with it with consistency and knowing that if you show up every day, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And Jatana talked about that last night. It's like the seasons. You plant the seeds, you got to sow, you got to reap, you got to water, and then they'll grow. But it takes time. This is not a get rich quick. And it's hard when you do see, like you said last night, potential coaches that just don't believe in themselves and burn out. So you have to find that healthy balance. You really do. My kids are home full time. I'm going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, you guys. My husband was laid off during COVID. Talk about fork in the eye. And that's when I really stepped into my leadership too, because I was the one that was financially leading our family. And that was a big wake-up call. He finally got to see how hard I was working. Not that he didn't know. It's not like he didn't know that, but he really witnessed it. And he was like, whoa, like you really hustle. So I feel like COVID had many blessings, like I'm sure you all agree. So that helped a lot. And I don't know. Oh, I forgot to answer the question. Personal development books. See, I totally digress. The one by John Maxwell, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I read that during COVID. That was a huge eye opener. And I have a whole bunch down here that I could bring up, but can't bet.
I definitely think the 10-time rule and compound effect business-wise are phenomenal.
Yeah.
John Maxwell's The Irrefutable Laws, that was one that I read. I did audio very early on in coaching, and it's phenomenal as well. But
it is. And I never really saw myself as a business owner until I started to take a deep dive in those business personal development books. For those of you who struggle with anxiety, this helped me too. It's called Hardcore Self-Help F-U-C-K, Anxiety. It's a very short read. It's by Robert Duff. He suffered with anxiety, and he brings it to the core, and he talks about it because, gosh, no one talks about it. Thank God for social media now. I mean, you guys, I wish I had, when social media was around, when I was dealing with my shit, it was all like babies in tutus, perfect houses with picket fences, my perfect marriage. That was the season of Facebook that I was in. So that fueled my anxiety like even more. Yeah. So any other questions? Oh, The Universe Has Your, I've not read that one yet. And The Go-Giver, I've not read that one either. I try not to like burn myself out with books. No. I do the 5-minute journal every single morning. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. That completely changed my mindset for the day. And then I do read Heart Talk as well by Cleo Wade. But yeah, you ladies are awesome. This was amazing. I was really nervous because to have like a team of this caliber and have a leader like Jitana, who I've admired for many years, and maybe like I told her last night, I may have copied her a few times on some of her stories, but she inspired me to get out of my comfort zone. And you ladies are so freaking lucky. You really are. And I know you know that.
You're sweet. No, they're like, Jitana. Just kidding. No, I thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Maggie? I love the topic of mindset because I think it applies to absolutely anybody in the business, whether you're 15-star or you're a brand new coach. It's something that we all battle with. And that's one of the beautiful things about coaching in general is not only is it a business where you make income, very, very substantial income. Actually, I was just calculating and I'm pretty sure we're hitting the millions club here soon, which is pretty incredible. Crazy. But that is a benefit, obviously, to your family and your life and the legacy that you can bring. And if things happen in life, like your husband loses a job, you're able to jump in and provide. That is one part of it. But the other part of it is it helps us begin to evolve as women into even better versions of ourselves. And if we had never jumped into this opportunity and said yes to us, whether it's doing Insanity or joining a challenge group or doing 21 Day Fix, whatever it was that you said yes to, and then you decided to coach, you would not have had the opportunity to start to evolve like Maggie has, like I have, like Holly has. A lot of these coaches on here that I've seen evolve into more confident and go through life circumstances confidently. And I know a lot of things that I've gone through over the past 7 years, I would have crumbled if I hadn't had the leadership skills that I've learned, the strength skills that I've realized that I do possess because of coaching. So give yourself that opportunity to get those things. If you don't make a dime in this business, which you should, that right there is pretty priceless. So thank you, Maggie.
Back to thinking like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, on a random Wednesday night, I would be scrolling social media, sipping wine, watching reality TV. I mean, I'm sorry, but this right here is like, this is so much more than that. This is bettering my life, is connecting with other women we're all here for the same thing, the same mission, the same, purpose. And it just really gets me emotional at times.
Love it.
What? My husband's laughing at me.
Aww. Hi, Abby.
So I have to tell you, he comes on every team call and says hi. Like, that's his thing.
I missed it when he came on my call. Okay.
Oh yeah, he's like, don't block me. Like to my coaches, he's like, you better not block me, because he loves to follow them. And
oh, is this Mike? Is that the one who said that last night? Okay.
Yeah. He was my number one skeptic.
Uh-huh.
My first skeptic, my first client, and my first coach. And that's kind of how it always is, usually in that order. So yeah. He was like, I don't know, but I need to lose 30 pounds. I'm like, let's do this. So
yeah. Josh was my second coach because I wasn't going to sign him unless I could go Emerald. And that meant I had to sign my friend first, right? So I signed my best friend as a discount coach because she liked vegan Shakeology. And she was already a married K lady, so she was willing to support me. So I signed her. And then that same night, I signed Josh up. And he was supportive, but he'll tell a story. I don't know where he's at. He's probably listening to me. He's in the kitchen. One of my friends was doing the scrapbooking and network marketing business. I don't know if you remember that back in the day. And she would sell like scrapbooking materials. And her husband and Josh were out at lunch one time, and he was like, "Oh man, we did our taxes, and I just noticed that my wife spent like $3,000 like negative on the scrapbooking business." He's like, "But she loves it. It gives her joy. So like, I'm gonna accept it, right?" And so when I said I wanted to do Beachbody, which was a similar setup because it's network marketing, he was like, "Oh my God, please don't tell me you're gonna spend money like she did, like Tracy did." And so he was hesitant. He's like, "As long as there's not like there's a bottom line and we don't go negative, I don't care what you do. Like if it makes you happy and it's helping you as a person, then cool. As long as we don't like go in the negative." And lo and behold, like the first 3 months as a coach, I bought us a new air conditioning unit for our house when it went out. I started to pay off our cars. Our cars are complete, like we're debt free, except for now we have a mortgage again. But yeah, it's crazy. But husbands definitely are more. They want to see the money coming in.
Yeah, and once Mike saw that, he was like, I took the kids on the Disney trip cruise. Like we could have never done that. Are you kidding me? So it took him, and then I think the real like turnaround for him was he saw how happy I was, and he saw like, wow, she got her spark back. And for Christmas, like the room I'm in right now, it's like a living room, and we never furnish it because we're like, what are we gonna do? Buy a couch that no one sits on? And we would only furnish it like around Christmas with our Christmas tree. So I went to go bake cookies with my sister and my mom one Christmas. It was like, gosh, right when I started, like 3.5 years ago. And I came home and I walked into this room and he completely designed my whole office. Like you die. Like you guys, I had a desk, I had a chair, I had an area rug. He had like a whole gallery wall. So he was like one where he's like, I believe in you. He's like, and shame on me for telling you at 6 months, and he just saw a light in me that he has never seen before.
Yeah.
So the days that I'm like, oh my God, this business, I think about like, oh my God, no, I'm not giving up. There's no way. No freaking way.
Yep.
So,
Love it.
This was so fun. So
All
fun.
Right. It's going on 10 o'clock here in the East
Oh my God.
So thank you, ladies, for jumping on. And for those of you watching the recording, I hope this encouraged you and you feel more powerful and strong when you pursue your business and you pursue your health and fitness journey. So Maggie, thank you so much for being on tonight.
It was a pleasure. It was so nice meeting you ladies.
All right.
Anytime you have a question, just message me. I'll message you back.
There you go. All right. Y'all have a great night. Thank you.